Hello. We're live, right? Cool. Welcome to my studio. uh, cool. We're getting notifications. That's great. Close this laptop. Hey guys, I see some of you already in the chat. I'm doing great. The Patrick. I'm doing amazing actually. A lot of plans. So let's wait for a few minutes, see who else gets here, and then we can start, right? Hey Grant, how are you, man? Who's there? Who's here as well? 3D Illusionist, hey man. Subsisto, hi man. City Jones, sup man? Sup brother? Welcome to my studio. Now you can see my camera in full size, which is cool. MSEC. Hey man, I'm doing great. Or maybe girl, I don't know. MSEC. I'm doing great, actually. A lot of stuff to do. I'm in a hurry for stuff, but yeah. Let's talk about approaching shots, which is cool. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? My laptop just turned on again. Turn this mouse off, and this laptop goes to sleep. All right. Yeah, thank you, man. Nice to see you. 3D Illusionist. How are you? How are you doing in the training, the fire training? Well, this shouldn't be happening. There we go. There's a lot of cables here in my desk. City Jones, thanks man. Thanks for the plug. Yeah, the training, it's cool actually, yeah. Can I make portfolio review? That's a nice idea. I want to apply in game dev. Would be great to hear some advices. Yeah, portfolio review would be cool actually. That would be nice. We could do that. Hey, True Illusionist, come on, man. Leave him sick alone. He's a guy. We're all guys here. Well, there's girls sometimes here. There was last week. There was a girl here. Cool. Yeah, I'm glad you like the training. And if you guys don't believe that stuff gets you jobs, actually I got a phone call this morning from a studio in another city that wants me to fly there and do some of my explosion effects there, which I'm gonna do. I'm flying tomorrow morning, and I'm gonna be there for a week working on a movie, working on some stuff. Cool, Grant. I'm glad you like that extension. I use it a lot as well, man. Treaty Illusionist, yeah. Send me, tweet me whatever you're doing, and I'll check it out. And we can even retweet it so everyone else sees what are you doing. I'm flying to Mexico City, which is the biggest city here in Mexico, and there's a huge studio there that I always wanted to work for actually. So it's gonna be cool that I'm gonna be there. Uh, I don't want to share my rate here because I have clients and I don't want. I have different clients, so I don't want my clients to be fighting if some of them see this. But I have a good rate actually. It's a good rate because I have many years of experience on this and freelance. CG rates. There's actually websites that tells you uh, which how you calculate your rate. That I think Alan McKay shared an application or a website that was it wasn't precise, but it depends where you live. It depends on the client as well. Different clients have more money, so you have to adjust. In my case, I work for clients all over the world and stuff like that. So yeah, I rather not share my rate here publicly, but it's not super high, but it's up there. Do they arrange hotel for you? Yeah, flights and hotels for me. Can I name the movie? No, I can't name the movie right now because I'm under NDA. Do you recommend studying a career in VFX? Of course, I recommend. VFX is amazing, and it's not going anywhere. With the new wave of VR, 3D artists are gonna be used for everything, doing effects. There's gonna be a bunch of movies done in VR. There's gonna be a lot of games done in VR. So it's the moment to study VR and visual effects and all that stuff related. It's gonna be everyone's gonna have jobs. Samuel, what's up, Samuel? Thank you, man. I'm a fan of you as well. uh, how do you think? What do you think is more challenging to get a career in visual effects or animation? Well, visual effects and animation, it's basically the same thing, or they go hand by hand. So because most of the time you're doing characters, and you need to animate those characters before you make like a digital double, and then you do effects on that, maybe cloth, hair. So a lot of animation goes hand in hand with visual effects. So it's basically the same thing. The thing is that there's still a need for Houdini artists. There's a lack of really good Houdini artists. So if you want to get into effects, learn Houdini. It's required almost everywhere, and it will get you there really quickly. And if you want to go into animation, well, you need to have a killer reel with a bunch of realistic animation, I think. Uh, 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 uh. Hey, Jonathan. Alan Crane. Hey, man. Visual effects is everywhere, man. It's in commercials, it's in movies, it's in games. Games hire a lot of visual effects artists. Then again, VR just not for games, but also for VR movies, 3D, all that stuff's gonna be big. Can you use Python to place Bex in an attribute Bob? Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can set whatever value you want in an attribute with Python. What about really shitty Houdini artists? Shitty Houdini art. I think they are not artists then. They're just Houdini guys. Alright. What school do you recommend? I don't know. I don't know. I don't recommend any schools because I'm not in touch with any schools. I recommend mixed training. Mixed training, it's really cool, and it's gonna it's here. We have a bunch of training lined up and new instructors, and it's gonna be awesome. But yeah, there's really nice schools out there. Even Nomon Workshop just uh, recently released their degrees actually, so they now have degrees, actual degrees with a diploma and all that stuff that you need. So that's an alternative, but it's gonna be as any school in the U.S. is gonna be expensive. For math, which skills in math should I brush up in Houdini? Well, any algebra, geometry, any vector math, it's cool, but it's not really necessary. So you can do stuff without any math in Houdini, but it's cool. In commercials games, so rates vary a lot with the clients, man. You can have clients that do really high end commercials like the like psyop or my friends from Smoke and Mirrors. They do commercials that are really high end and they pay you well. They pay you well. Movies do pay well as well sometimes, depending on the level that you entry at. If you enter as a senior, if you enter as a junior, you're gonna get a low rate, of course. But it depends on your experience. But it's not games. It's actually really amazing as well, and I think they got more of the solid rates. They're pretty cool. And games, most of the time you get jobs for years. So commercials you might get hired for one commercial or two, and then it's per project. Um, la, 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 la. Am I planning for subscription based on mixed training? Subscription will be available, but down the line when we have a bunch of material that we can actually make something that it's valuable for a subscription. Right now we just have one training and a bunch of others in the queue, but it's not yet ready for that. But it will be available down the line, especially for studios that want to pay just a subscription. CG Society has really nice courses as well. Yeah, thank you, Daniel, for that. CG Society has really amazing courses. Um, but it's pretty cool, actually. Hey, Daniel, you wanna take my course? That's amazing, man. Take it. It's really cool. Actually, I actually like it. If I was starting with Houdini and I wanted to learn effects, that's the one that I wanted to see, because it takes you from step one, like, all right, I need to do this thing now. How to do it? It just covers everything from here to there. It's just everything. It's covered, and it's pretty cool. All right, so hey George, oh man, Will Mendes as well. So you're bringing your cousin there. Hey Will, ¿cómo están los dos? What's up? There's a lot of courses of mine as well in CMI VFX, and people it's still buying that, which is it's amazing. So now let's go to the topic of today. Today's topic. Oh, I thought that. Oh, sorry. I thought that Will Mendes said that he was your cousin, George. Sorry. Sorry. Well, you can be cousins if you want. He's in New York. I'm sorry. I'm talking about, well, actually both take you from the very start to the beginning. The Flames one that I just released, the magical fire effects, it's really extensive. It covers everything. That's why it's so long, because it covers every step, every step. And the missile and the car thing, it's cool. It's amazing as well. All right, so let's talk about effects and how this. Some people ask me, or I get questions like this all the time. Like, so when you get an effect, how do you approach it? How do you start? How do you figure out? Oh, I need to use this tool for that. I look like C-3PO when I do this. C-3PO. Master. Um, so yeah, that's a really interesting question because it's a point that most people don't touch on. Uh, uh, blah 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 blah. George, do you not know about my magical fire effects training? I'm gonna be offended, man. Gonna be offended if you don't know about it. I think you know, George. This is the training everyone's talking about. All the cool kids are buying it. Buy it today. Post it on Instagram. All right, so let's talk about effects. And it's a point that yeah, most people don't talk about. I actually talk about this in my magical fire effects thingy here. I do talk about that topic, how to prepare, what's the requirements, etc. And everything starts when the client uh, tells you what he wants. Like, let's say we are working, it's the same thing. If you're working at a studio or if you're working by yourself, freelance, you're gonna get a brief. You're gonna get something about it. Like, let's say this magical, cool effect that everybody wants to do. This is the effect that got me into Houdini, the BAMF effect from X-Men. So this thing, when I saw that it was done in Houdini, it was like, all right, I need to learn Houdini now. Don't do anything else, just Houdini. And this is an effect that it's pretty popular. It was pretty popular when you can see there's a bunch of people trying to do the effect in several applications and several ways. So yeah, that effect is pretty cool. It made a big impact when the movie came out. So how can you do that if you're going if the your supervisor, let's say, or your client, whatever, tells you, I want this character to disappear. In this case, there's a reference because in the comic, the Nightcrawler has this effect, and they talk about it and they illustrate the effect as well. Now you have to take this idea and put it into action because in a comic it's not actually moving. It's just there, right? It's just a frame, but it explains that it's teleporting, etc. You can think that it will gonna be kind of a smoky effect. It's gonna be really bamf, like really fast and stuff like that. Maybe the supervisor again or the client, it's telling you this. So this effect is a really nice if it's a really nice example, and I think it was executed perfectly. The effect was visually stunning, amazing. uh AAA. If you're talking about my magical fire effects here, yeah, we are in that training. We get from it's actually 4 shots. It's a scene with 4 shots, and then we animate. We do the effects for the 4 shots completely from scratch, from nothing, and you see every step of the way how it's been done. Right now we're talking about how to approach a shot, and we're taking as an example this BAMF effect from X-Men. So was there another question? Are BDVs a requirement for particle effects? BDVs are not a requirement for anything. BDVs, you can use them when you need to use them. Um, All right, so how if somebody told me how are you gonna approach this shot, well, there's a few ways that you can do this, and the thing that I do most of the time, I ask a bunch of questions, and mostly I ask if I don't know, like maybe I'm just brought into the project or a client was just got to me for doing the effect. I ask, is this gonna be HD, 2K, 4K? I need to know the resolution. Why? Well, because the effect has to be simulated at a different quality depending on the HD or 2K, 4K resolution that it's gonna be, and it's gonna require time. It's not because it's gonna be just adding more resolution, because it's gonna require time on simulation and it's gonna require time on rendering. So it's gonna require stuff that's gonna affect me as an artist. If they say we want this effect, and you have a week to do it, and but we want it to in 8K, I'm gonna say, oh, dude, that's a lot of resolution for a week. So it is difficult to get it out in that resolution in a week or something like that. Depending if you have a big render farm and you can use that for simulation as well, well, that it might not be too difficult. You might get something out of that. Also, I want to know if the character's just gonna if well, if I am the effects artist, I'm gonna get the character animated. So what am I getting? What are you sending me? And this is all just requirements before I start doing the actual effect. And then how big are the scenes, or stuff like that. I want to know. Is there like a 5 seconds, 3 seconds? How big is it? And there's a link here. Let's try to see if we can see that. Let's hope that we don't get trolled. Oh yeah, that's great. That's the Banff effect clip. So if you guys don't remember that, just see that. Yeah, that effect, it's freaking amazing. I don't know if I can stream that, but guys, see the link the guy shared. That's the effect I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty amazing. And I remember that it was done in Houdini, but hopefully I'm not wrong, because that was the shot that actually got me into Houdini. That was the effect. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think they did it with a bunch of particles, which is pretty amazing. Pretty nice effect. Stellar, still holds up perfectly. I don't remember which studio did it, but yeah, it's pretty amazing. So yeah, in that case, it's integrated with a live character, so you have to talk with your compositor as well. I can't I can tell you how important that is. It's really important that you talk to your compositor, or somebody that's gonna maybe composite the shot, because it's really important. Um, so duration, how are the shots gonna be? How long the shot's gonna be, which is it's important. Because if they say, we want to have this to happen and this to happen, and have streams or particles and have all the stuff, and you're given like 10 frames, you're gonna be like, then to give the director or the supervisor what he wants, I need to make the effect really clear, because if the effect can't be distinguished in 10 frames, then I'm lost. I can't. I'm gonna have to redo the shot. I'm not. I'm not getting the shot how the client wants it. So if it's really blurry, really confusing and stuff like that, it's not gonna be approved. So other things that I want to know are the duration. I say that, well, the frame rate, of course, you have to know that, and then you have all that stuff, and of course, how much time do I have? Can I invest a lot of time on this? Do I have to just find a really fast solution for this? Where's my deadline, or when it's my first revision? Uh, so they will, most of the time they will tell you that, but sometimes they tell you, oh, you have a week, but and then it's Tuesday, and they say, oh, you have a revision today. I'm like, what? I thought I had to till Friday or something, and so you have to ask all that stuff. Uh, so there's a question that do you have to be on set in this case for the shots? It's important, but most of the time you're not. Maybe the one that's gonna be there, it's the main supervisor, or the lead supervisor, the lead effects supervisor is the one that's gonna be there, and sometimes it's not even one from the studio. It might be like somebody external, or one of the guys that was hired to do supervise the effects, but and then the job from there maybe gets distributed to two, three, or maybe even four studios, and you don't even have the chance to go to the sites. So sometimes you have stuff, information from set. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just have the shot, and sometimes you don't even have the track camera or something like that. In depending again on the studio, and sometimes in big studios you just get everything prepped for you, everything's animated, everything it's how it's supposed to be, and then you just start working on the effect. But sometimes you don't even have the chance to be on set. You're when this was shot, it was like maybe even a year ago, and you're just gonna be working on the effects. So it's cool if you get to be there. In smaller productions, you might get hired at the start, all right, and then you can go and supervise the effects. And if you have that chance, you can. The things that I care for is the camera lens size, and I put the model and the lens that is being used, which is really important. The camera that's being used. Sometimes you get a chance to take HDR images of the set if you have your setup, your camera, or you have a 360 camera. Now 360 cameras are available. You can get 360 images for HDR lighting on the set. The other thing is measure stuff, like if you are gonna be like if the effect's gonna be coming out of a window, measure the window. How big is the window? Because that will help you tracking and also put the effect in the right scale. So if you know that this window it's a meter side by side, then it's good to have that. But yeah, most of the time that's all you need. Uh, Marking trackers on scenes are really unnecessary. I learned that the hard way from a really nice tracking guy. Like you don't even need tracking markers unless you have a totally flat surface. Then you need tracking markers. But if you have anything in the scene, anything that resembles something, you can track it. It's you don't need markers everywhere. But yeah, that's some of the things that you need to care about in on set, and depends a lot on the preparation, on the time you have. Sometimes it's just everything needs it's fast, and you don't even have the time to take measurements or anything. So all right, so yeah, also like Jonathan says, if you're on set, take a ton of reference photos. Yeah, you can take a bunch of pictures They will make you. They will help you with the scene. Maybe do for reflections or anything. In this instance, the lighting or the reflection of the scene is not really important because it's not gonna be actually reflected. You can just fake it. Most of the time, we just fake it. That's what we do. We just fake it. We just fake the lighting. As much as we all think this romantic idea, we have the perfect HDR from the set. Most of the time, we just fake it. Get used to it. It happens, man. Some of the time, as I said, you don't even have any reference or information from the set. Yeah, lighting info. It's what I said. What about taking HDR images from the set if you want to use that for lighting. Uh, Daniel, I'm not using Synthesize yet. I think I'm gonna buy it, and then I'm gonna start using that for tracking. But it's pretty cool. I've been using the demo. It's pretty amazing. I really, really, really like it. Yes, there's applications that you can use on your iPad, on your iPhone, on your Android, and you can take notes there. But I never do that on set. I just take a notebook and just make notes by hand. Uh, 3D equalizer, it's great. Yeah, the equalizer is great. It's pretty expensive. It's out of the reach for me. But yeah, it's pretty cool as well. Never use it. Never have used that in production. I just seen the. I've just seen the demo. That's all I have for that. So all right, so we have the effect to do. Let's say this is the guy. The effect. It looks pretty blurry here because the movie is from. I don't really remember what's the year of this. But anyway, you can see there's trails of particles and blurry effect, and it's pretty quick. Sorry, it's pretty quick effect. So because it has to be quick because it's escaping bullets, so it has to be instantly. So that's a pretty cool thing that you can. Can you go frame by frame in YouTube? I don't remember. I think it was possible, but I don't remember how. Nah. Alright. So so then you have to start. Then you have to I'm not talking about everyone, but me. Before I even start doing the effect in Houdini. So when I got all the info from the supervisor, from the client or something, the first thing I do is not open Houdini. That's not the first thing I do. The first thing I do is go online, find reference. That's what I do. I go online and let's say smoke puff effect. Then I start to looking for reference. How does a smoke puff look? How a cartoony effect would look? Then I start getting reference of that. So this is very stylized and it's cool. This is this is very diffused, smoky. What is it the effect that I want? Like this is a really nice reference image. I think if the effect would have looked like that, will be even more cool. So maybe something like this is pretty cool. So then I start to gather all these images. I download all these images. Everything I like, I just download it. All right, this will look cool because it has definition for a fast effect, like something like this. Something like this puff, it just has no definition, and doing this fast, it's just gonna be a blur, just gonna be a smush, you know. It's not gonna have any It's not gonna have any definition. It's just gonna be one block, one black dot there. So it's not gonna be cool. It's not gonna look fine. So something like this will be more. It will have more definition. It has lines. It has areas of more dense smoke, something like that. So yeah, something like this will be just too dense. You're not looking at my desk. Let's go back to my freaking desk. All right, there we go. Ah, man. So this is my, again, I'm gonna say that it's my Michael effects thingy. You're looking at my big freaking face. All right, so now you can look at my desk. All right, so again, looking for a reference. So this is the effect we're talking about. I'm just gonna play a little bit of this. It's gonna be maybe hard to see on the, but there you go. That's the effect. So you can see lines here and all that stuff. So then again, instead of going directly to Houdini and say, oh, this is gonna be particles, this is gonna be BDV, this is gonna be whatever technique, I just open the browser and start looking for reference. And sometimes even the client or the supervisor gets you reference, like, oh, we want it to look like this, we want it to look something like that. So I go online and I say, oh, let's look for a smoke puff and see what do we have. All right, this looks not what I want. This, nope, no. Okay, this looks more just like we're just wanted to do. Maybe this. This is not what I wanted to do. So then, nope. But then I get to maybe this image and oh, cool. That image, it's looking cool. And this, you can see there's a bunch of something similar of this to this effect here, these trails here, and so it looks similar. So okay, something like this should work. Okay, something like this should work. And then I start again just getting all the images downloaded into a folder that's gonna call reference, and I'm gonna just have everything. And again, as I was saying, like something like this puff here is not gonna work because that's too blurry. There's no definition at all. It will work for something else, but for this really fast effect, disappearing, teleporting really fast, switching in an instant from character to puff, it's not gonna be clear. It's just gonna be a mush. It's just gonna be blur. It's not gonna have any interest on anything. So something like this is not gonna work. Something like this is not gonna work. So, but something like this would work. So reference like this, maybe smoke out of a cigarette will work. So that's my reference. So I start getting those reference again. Something like this does have a little bit of definition, but it's not enough. It's too blobby. So yeah, something like this will work. Maybe not. This is a little bit too dense, but we can get there. Maybe something like this, like that. A little bit something that it has more graphic on the for the character. So maybe you can see even something like this with a person there. It kind of works. You can kind of see it working. Something like this looks pretty cool. You can see this is kind of fading away into smoke. So the effect is gonna have something like this. Then I have my reference, and maybe even go and see, now that we're looking at these images, that this is like cigarette smoke, could be the reference. So we can start looking for that, and maybe even look for some videos if there's could be videos. Nah, whatever. I'm on news, not on videos. Damn. Well, this is not actually an effect. No, I mean, this is actually not real. It's an effect, but it could give you an idea of how this will be moving. Then there's another one here. You can see there's all these trails and lines. That's what I want. And then because moving really fast, it will give us really nice smoke. This is supposed to be real smoke, which is really cool that smoke's doing that. So you can see this is a great reference of what we can do. Again, something like this won't work at all. It's too heavy. Like this, you can see you don't know what's happening here. It's just white blob there. So the details are all the way here, not here in the middle, which is totally not what you want. It's really great to know what you want and what you don't want. It's really important because sometimes you're doing something and you just get into an area that you don't want, and then you know that, oh no, I'm getting too into this area of diffuse blobbiness that I don't want to be. So there you go. Something like this is a great reference for the movement. You can see we need to get all those spiraling effects because the thing is just gonna like poof explode in a second. So this is a great reference for that as well. So I will just make notes for these videos or download them to my drive and then gather every reference image and video, and then you can see there's even more violent movement there, which is pretty cool. So I'm almost sure that they got reference from something like that, which is pretty cool. Really nice effects we got here. Hello, I don't know how to say your name in your Russian name, dude. Sorry. Let's see what Google says about your name. Even Google doesn't know. Not sure what's your name, but hey, man, or gal. Dimitri? Is it Dimitri? Yeah, it's Dimitri. That's cool. All right. So again, something like this, it's just going way too dense. So now how you approach that into Houdini, now you need to have experience with Houdini. So what am I talking about? Am I talking about you working in big studios? Are you working in commercials? You working in any kind of work? No. If you have not had that experience, what my experience with Houdini is you getting into Houdini and doing stuff. Yeah, I got it right. It's Dimitri. Cool. I got it right, dude. So when I say you need to have experience with Houdini, you need to know your tool. You need to know Houdini. You need to know how things work. And you don't need a job at a studio for that. You can just open Houdini, get the apprentice version from side effects site, get the apprentice version, then just start doing stuff. That's how I started. I didn't wait until I got a big job at a studio. I just started doing stuff. Started doing stuff, and then people say, oh, you're doing stuff. I like your stuff. Can you do something for me? Or here's a job. Do you have stuff? Yeah, look at my stuff. Oh, it's cool. We can give you a job. Alright, just drinking some tea. Hey, Dimitri, I don't want to be rude and just call you I think that you're Russian. Are you Ukrainian? Russian? Where are you from, man? It's pretty cool that there's people all over the world here. There's people from they speak Spanish, from Mexico. There was Will Mendes from Puerto Rico. Are you from Puerto Rico? Will? That's great that we have people here from all over the world. All right, so once you you need to know Houdini, and the first thing I do in Houdini is just experiment. I'm not gonna go there into Houdini and say, all right, let's see what reference did I have. I just closed the freaking reference. Let's say I have this reference, right? So how the hell do I do that in Houdini? I could do it with smoke, with a volume, but it's gonna take so much resolution to get this detail, and that's might gonna be hard. So you have to think about, okay, so maybe I could do it with particles. Particles could follow this shape, and I actually will go for particles here, but I will use a mixed technique with volume and particle. And so that's another technique that it's actually very common to use, and I actually use that in my ink effects tutorial. Thanks. If you have seen that, you know what I'm talking about, or maybe other people have done this training I did. You can see I don't have a I want to cry. I don't have a license or a subscription to CMI VFX anymore. So you can see this is what I did with a bunch of particles, like 27 million particles, which is not as much. If you want to buy this training, still you can buy it. It's pretty cool. But these are a bunch of particles being driven by a volume, and you can see this looks pretty similar to this. So that will be the way to go here. But how do I know that? How do I know that to get this result? Well, because I've been using Houdini, doing stuff with it, like, or seeing an effect, and I was like, all right, how can I do that? Let me investigate. Let me test. Let me see what I can do with it. How people are getting these results. How can I do it? And as Dennis said, yeah, fluid. It's particles advected by a fluid. Yes, that's the method here. And you can see here I'm using a fluid, and then I'm advecting some particles with that fluid, and then we're getting this kind of results. And but again, how do I get to this point where I know how to get this thing? Well, I didn't know before I started this. I started investigating, and you can even see, let me go to my Vimeo account. Vimeo. And there is an old, one of my old reels that has several of my come on, a bunch of videos here. Let me find the one I'm looking for. This one. Alright, so you can see in this reel here, I'm turning the volume down. Alright, so that explosion is horrible. Alright, so you can see here I'm doing particle-based ink. I did a bunch of tests. So this one is made with particles, just particles, no volume, just particle simulation. Then this was done with just volume. So this is just volume, but you can see I get a bunch of detail there. But I was doing something like ink. Yeah, this was just done with pure volume. It's not particles, but I got a lot of detail as well. But you can see it looks cool for ink, but maybe not right for this effect because it's really solid and blobby. But we are getting these streak lines that I was looking for. But yeah, this is just a volume. It's not particles at all, which it's really cool, looks really cool as well. And then this guy, it's the particles driven by the volume velocities, which is saying there. and it's exactly what the effect, something like this, would work for the effect that we are looking here, which is pretty cool. I love that effect still. I'm pretty proud that I did this, but as you can see, I did a lot of research. I did a bunch of research. Can I do this with just particles? Alright, it kind of gets there. I don't get the streaks that I wanted with just particles. I do get bunching of the particles, kind of these lines, but it's not like streaks that I wanted. Alright, so what about just with plain volumes? Okay, we kind of get those lines that I wanted to get, but it's not holding up so much when the volume gets too fast. It just dissipates. So then after that, what if I mix the two? Yep, I get those really crisp lines that I wanted to get, and that was the deal that I wanted to get there, and how I got there, and that's how I know how to get to this point, because I did this. Nobody told me to do this. I just wanted to do it, started investigating, researching, and got to this. So that's how you get somewhere. Yeah, I think the effect, George. So let me see if there's any questions. Oh, everyone's saying where they're from. Dimitri is from Belarus. Awesome. 3D Illusion is from London. Cool. Dennis from Holland. Amazing. George from New York. I know you, George. You're from Colombia, of course. Microbots from Iceland. Cool. AA wants to see Iceland. I want to see Iceland as well. Could you do this solely with pyrosmoke? 3D Illusion is, this is exactly the result I got with that. This is the plain smoke, pyrosmoke. I got close, but I don't think it's close enough to the effect that I wanted. So it wasn't close enough for me, but could work for other effects. Inkefest was a good one, yeah. David, hey David, I'm doing amazing, man. How would you do? How you make a sandstorm? There's a sandstorm training on CMI VFX. Ednaldo, hey man. MSEC from Alberta, Canada. Awesome, man. Love Canada. So you guys from Greece. That's great. It was Cinecide? Really? I don't know. Patrick from Poland. Cyril from the Ukraine as well. Cool. British from Vancouver, Canada. Awesome. Canada as well. That's cool. I'm me from Mexico. That's great, guys. Great. So yeah, again, that's how you get somewhere with that thing. So let's see. Storm. Nah. I remember dust. Yeah, there's this. Oh, wow. The product's not found. Oh crap, it's been removed from CMI VFX. So sorry. I don't know what happened there. Weird. Alright, how much TV? What's TV, Dennis? Terabytes? Grant from Southern California. California, nice weather. Bruce from Germany. Hey man. Guy from Israel. Cool. Alright. I like to see all these countries here. It's amazing. It's amazing that we are all together here because of Houdini and visual effects. It's amazing. Alright, so that's how you make decisions. How do you get to somewhere in your research. How do you approach a shot? And then you go to Houdini, and then you start testing stuff like, all right, I'm gonna start test with the sphere. And the great thing in Houdini is that you don't have to have any model. You don't have to have anything. So there's even a file that was shared a long time ago that has the bump effect with the sphere. Um, then you can start making stuff. And I already show you guys how to make a geometry into dust or particles, so that could be some way to do it. Then you can start emitting particles for this and start testing, like I don't know, let's start testing something. Let's see, I'm gonna emit a bunch of particles, more than this. Something's lagging me, I don't know what. There's a bunch of particles. I just want one frame of particles. I don't want more than one frame. If frame is less than 2, give me particle. No more particles, right? So I have not enough particles, but for right now it works. Something's lagging me. I don't know why. Paul Villa. Yes, it is important to know where to get information, but don't get caught up in tutorials, man. Uh, I see so much people just getting like doing a tutorial and then, oh, I'm gonna put that in my reel, and that's not the way to do it, man. I do a lot of tutorials and I want to help you, and I try to make stuff, the principles, understandable. I'm not just trying to tell you follow these steps, put this number there. That's not what I'm trying to do. Like, I want people to learn stuff. I want you guys to get my tutorial and say, all right, I have a bunch of ideas that I can now do with this knowledge. I don't want you to just copy what I'm doing. I want you to just do your own stuff. So be creative. Don't just get into where to get a tutorial. And it's important to get stuff, and it could be a double-edged sword, like they say. You can get caught into trying to always find something that it's gonna solve your issue, and you get so caught up into finding that thing that you're not doing your thing. So sometimes it's just important that, all right, I can find fast something that could help me, could lead me in the right direction. But if not, I don't have all the time to just follow, keep searching, stay searching forever, and not do stuff, because we as visual effects artists are expected to deliver, to do, to create stuff. We are creators. We are inventors. We need to find solutions. So find your own solutions as well. Don't just try to find somebody else that did it, because if you always do that, your job's never gonna be different from anyone else, because you're just copying everything else. So sometimes it's important to just get into Houdini, don't see anything else, and just figure it out. That's what I do most of the time, just figure it out. Because as you guys might know, sometimes tutorials are even a trap, because you're trying to adapt that to your tutorial and it never works. It never works. And tutorials work from, sometimes they work from one specific thing, but you try to make something else and it's totally different. It's totally different. So it's nice to always get the knowledge, but don't get trapped into that. Again, could be a double-edged sword there. So what I will do here next is just do force, and then I want particles to move, boom, in an instant. So let's just do this 20, boom. There you go. I'm done. Let's call the supervisor. Boom. Next shot. Now I want the particles to not live that long, so let's just change the life expectancy maybe to 1 second and 0.1 of variance, and that's too much. Let's give it 0.5 and 3, and that's a little bit better, but not enough. Again, I want to add some drag to this. I'm not gonna finish the effect. I'm just trying to see so you guys see how I get from concept to maybe getting something. All right, that's getting better. You can see it's not going so much. I even want more drag. Let me get more drag. I want it to expand quickly, but then stay there. Like I want this. Let me put this in the. I want this effect. Poof, like fast and then stops and then fades away. That's what I want. So I want a big drag, and then I want more velocity on the initial puff. So let's get it to amplitude to 40. So there we go. It's going fast. It takes like 10 frames. Is too much for this. Like this is a really fast effect. So this is how you do this. This is how you test this. Like I want to do that. Like let's say that I want to do this, but then after here I don't want to affect the particles with the amplitude anymore. We can just keyframe that. Let's say at frame 8, 9. Let's keyframe this at frame 13. I don't want any of this to affect anymore. So now what do we get? All right, cool. I like that it stops like that, but I actually wanted to now that I see that, I can do it quicker and might even work better. So let's do that a little bit quicker. So let's play it again. Yeah, I like that. It stops, but it doesn't die because we kind of get the shape of it, and then starts dissipating, but still moving a little bit. So maybe even have more drag on this. 3. So that could be one way to do this. Again, maybe now that I seen the shapes are maybe a little bit too close, but once you get more particles, it will look better. But that's one way to do this. Again, the character won't be a sphere unless we're doing the X-sphere man. Sphere man. That was cool. Sphere man. Spheres. We're terrible at telling jokes. We can sphere us. So you can see this is starting to look cool. Maybe we want more swirl size to get bigger or larger. It depends again on the shot. That's too much. That's really fuzzy. That we don't want that. So let's pull it back to 1. Something like that would work. Like that. Cool. We can even animate the pulse length maybe shorter. And yeah, that starts to look cool. You can see we get really nice shapes there. And then then it's just a matter of playing with the settings, playing with the effect, playing with the getting some versions, telling them, sending them to the supervisor or client. See if you're getting there, if you're just not getting there. And it's really important to send stuff early. Like I will send this like right now. I will make like this starts to look cool. You can see it's looking cool. Maybe even get the swirl size lower. Yeah, swirl size, yeah, it should be lower like that. Cool. That starts to look really nice. So again, the nice thing about Houdini is that we can just do something else. We can get another object like our friend Roberto and plug it into the effect and it will just work, right? So when you have the actual project or the actual model, what happened? What is this complaining? Why are you complaining? There we go. I don't know what happened there. Now you can see, now Roberto is Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler Roberto. So now that when this guy is moving and it has maybe a force, we can even apply, let's apply a force, a directional force, just to see how this will move in a direction. Let's call this noise, and let's call this direction. Let's give it a direction in the z-axis, like 5. Let's see. No, let's say 10. Nah, I don't like that actually. 30. Nope, don't like that at all. It's really weird. Nope. Maybe it's the moving that it stops that I don't like. So now I'm not gonna do that. Let's remove that. Cool. I like that better. But yeah, the character should have a little bit of a force coming from the particle should have a little bit of force inherent from the movement of the character. So that's what's gonna happen when you're doing your effect. That's gonna be important there. So you can see these guys. One trick that I do is get the pop interact, and I get the particles to bunch a little bit more with the interact. The interact, it's kind of actually meant to pull away particles, but I just put it negative, and it kind of starts to pull the particles together instead of making them go apart. And then we have, let's see if we're getting this kind of effect here. Let's see if we're getting that from the pop interact. Nah, it's not doing that. Let's see, we need more force because we are doing something really quick. So it's kind of working. I don't really feel it. Nah, it's not doing that much for us here, I guess. Oh, maybe the radius is too small. Since it's pretty quick, it's not doing much for us, but this effect will look pretty cool when we render a bunch of passes of particles. So it's not doing that much for us right now, but it looks pretty cool with the noise itself. All right, so that's how you would approach something, and then from here it's just a matter of iterating, doing a lot of versions for the client until they are satisfied. But I will start sending this, like them just grabbing a flip book of this and telling the client, hey, do you like this? How you would see this? Like, of course, this is just a preview. This is not how it's gonna look in the final thing, but they can get their say really quick. And this is something that you guys should understand with clients and supervisors. They would have an opinion, and they will tell you stuff, change this. So as if you get them in quicker, you get the job approved quicker. That's how it works for me, and it works every time. Let's see if there's some questions. How many terabytes? Oh, do you mean terabytes for the volumes? I don't think it was that high on that ink effect, but they do tend to get really high when you're doing really high resolution volumes, man. Maybe even 1 gigabyte per frame. It's really high. Sometimes it even more than that. So yeah, it gets pretty high. I had simulations for 300 for 300 gigabytes for maybe 20, 50, 70 frames or something like that. Blah blah blah. All right. Did you say that you don't just need to use a sphere? Yeah, that's why I changed it to Roberto, man. Roberto, it's the star here. So that's how you approach a shot. And maybe if you wanted to do this with volume, then you can just say, all right, well, this is my test with particles directly. Now maybe we can do something with a volume of this. So let's say Roberto version 2, and this is gonna be Roberto version 1. So let me save this in, but I don't even have a project. Let's create a new project for today in my training webinars. This is 23, dude. Learn day 023 approach a shot. All right, let's accept that. Let's not do this. Remove that. Select this. Like that. Okay. Now you can save it. That was the hardest way to do this. Bam. So, of course, I'm not saying that this effect is done here. This is just like beta version. So don't think that, oh, I just added one thing and it's done. No, I'm not saying that. But it's a good version to start off. And maybe you can keep working on it if you have that one. So let's try now with fluid. And I know from experience, peeking around with the shelf, playing around with Houdini, that the dry ice effect, it's really nice for wispy or more stringy effect. So let's select this guy and dry ice. You can do it again from scratch. Some people like to do stuff from scratch. I just like, sometimes I don't even have the time to do stuff from scratch. So excuse me if I use the shelf. So I'm gonna put another dot here because it's trying to use the one that's inside Roberto there. So let's say this is a fluid. Oh, let's say it's smoke. Smoked up. Smoked up. It's dope, dude. It's really dope. Dry ice. So there we go. Now we're using this one. Is it? Nah. I didn't set this as the active one. Alright. Alright. Should work now. Yeah, sure. It's working now. So now if we run this, you can see this is gonna go down, but you can see kind of the effect that we are trying to get here. You can see now, you can see kind of the stringiness of the volume, even of this low resolution. It's really important that you just experiment with all your options from the beginning. Like, all right, that seems like it could work. Maybe adding more resolution to it. Let's see if it actually works better. Yeah, it kind of looks cool. But it is a little bit too dense for my taste. But it could work. It could work if you tweak it. If you can see it's kind of stringy. But again, we need to make this puff. So how do we do that? Well, we need to add normals for the velocity or something like that. But again, maybe try to see first if it's gonna work, because if it's not gonna work, then don't start doing stuff with it. Normals. Let's put some normals there. We have really big normals. Let's put them in the points. Now let's make those normals smaller. Oh man, that's pretty cool. Roberto, spiky Roberto. How was that? What was the name of that character in? That has like spikes in his head. was like a horror movie. Pinhead? Nah, I don't remember. So let's pass the normals to the velocity. Now we can pass the velocity. We don't need to see that to the here. It's already getting that. So we can maybe do that here. Let's see. Yep, it's working. It's sending the smoke everywhere, but we need it faster, right? So let's do the velocity. Let's put it up to, don't scale the temperature here because we don't want it to be going down. Let's just not going anywhere. Let's scale the velocity to 20. But now look at that. That's not looking at all like what we want. Look at that. Like it's getting a lot wispy. So it's not getting us the effect we actually want. You can see this is not looking what we want. Maybe for an explosion will be nice, but not for the actual effect that we're looking for. So again, experiment with stuff and see if it's actually gonna work, because right now this is, for me, I would just not go this direction right now. Hellraiser? Yeah, Hellraiser. That's the guy. Okay, so I guess that was clear, right? Again, it was not a tutorial about doing the effect, but how to approach it, how to think about this, how do I start doing stuff in Houdini that makes sense. Like right here, I wouldn't continue with this. Like, this is not getting me what I want, so maybe it's not the right way to do it. Maybe if I try to make this a little bit more solid or a little bit less spiky with these things here, and maybe use that to advect the particles. But right now, as a volume solution, I might just get discouraged to use this because this is not what I want. But also, I'm using a really low or the default step on the solver. Where we're using really high velocity stuff. Get the sub steps up because it would give the solver more time to think about what's happening. So you can see now with the 3 sub steps, now this is starting to look better, and this will be something that I could use for, let me just not emit more fluid. Let's at frame, oh no, that's not the one. At frame 2, I want that. At frame 3, I don't want any source anymore. So it just has the first. So you can see now that starting to look a little bit more useful, and I might go for this. It could work, but I would need a bunch of resolution. You can see this looks pretty cool actually, or maybe even more sub steps. And but again, depends on the shot, depends on what you are trying to. Yeah, it's starting to look pretty cool actually. Really cool. You can lower the dissipation or the thingy on the thingy. Let's go to the diffusion. Let's get this down, way down. So the diffusion, it's kind of blurring the effect, so I don't want any of that, so I can get more solid stuff, or trying to get something like lines. And sometimes I actually do viscosity when I'm trying to make stringy stuff. I just turn on the viscosity, and look at that. Now there's a little bit more lines like what I want actually. So this could be a way as well of getting the effect. But again, it will need more resolution. You can see it's kind of doing that. You can see that reference that we look at for smoke, this is kind of doing that now. She's getting there. It's cool. Alrighty, so. Oh, Dennis, that's a really good question, dude. Cool. I like your question. So, he's talking about the difference between dollar $B and dollar $bell for velocity. Well, in SOPs or in this world of geometry, you need to use B for velocity. That's the standard Houdini way of saying whatever is in B will be the velocity, right? But in DOPS, you need to name your volumes bell, and this is what's happening here. You can see the source attribute is the velocity from SOPs, and it outputs a bell a bell field, or that's called yes, it's a field. You can see the bell here. So bell is for volumes, and B is for geometry. That's the simplest way to see this. Again, in SOPs land, in geometry land, it would be B, and B will just be recognized by Houdini as velocity. But if you need to use that, it will need to be a bell attribute here that we need for the velocity in DOPS. That's the difference between those two guys. So yeah, you can see this thing is not bad. It's looking a lot different, but again, would maybe be, it might be something different, or it might be what you need. But again, we'll need a bunch more density here. I mean, more fluid to get close, but anyway, you can see that's looking like the smoke reference we were looking at. So might be a way to do it. We might need more turbulence on this because it's getting, the shapes are getting too big. We need more turbulence, but it's starting to look like that, right? It's starting to look like those reference of smoke we were looking at. So it could be a way. Again, you will need a lot of more substeps maybe, and more density. I mean, more division size, so it's smaller and you get more detail. Which passes for volumes do you deliver to the compositor? Again, an amazing question, and this depends on the shop, or on the shop or studio or the compositor. So you need, like I was saying before, you need to talk to the compositor. You need to talk to him, and maybe even he comes and talks to you because he knows what he needs, and things like the effects guys might be stupid. Or maybe, I don't know, but maybe he thinks that they are not giving him the right stuff, or maybe he's used to passes from Maya, and you need to talk to him and say, well, dude, what do you need? Sometimes they just need the red, green, and red, green, and blue channels to relight the effect in compositing. That's something that I've done a lot. Sometimes I just deliver that with the different lights in different channels. Sometimes you need to send them normal maps, which is not common for volumes. Sometimes you need to send them contact shadows if there's shadows in the scene at the volume. It's affecting the scene with shadows. It's maybe close to a wall and there's shadows. You need to send them a shadow pass. For volumes, most of the time, or something like smoke, there's not a lot of elements that you will need to send because they are totally diffuse. You don't need to send like the reflection or anything like that because most of the time volumes are just one thing, and you just send them like the C depth pass and the diffuse, and maybe the light passes in RGB passes. And some of the times that's all the compositor needs. but again, it depends. If there is a whole dot math for this, like the character is it's cutting the effect, the volume, it's getting it's uh, it's in the middle of it, and it needs to mat the effect or create an alpha channel for the volume. You also might need to do that in on your side. So it all depends on the on what the compositor need. Uh, so yeah, you need to support him as much as you can, because he's the one that's gonna make your effect look cool. So if the compositor needs a bunch of passes, give them to him, because he's gonna make magic with that. So that's cool. I there was another question here. Oh yeah, for the X-Men, do you have to model the outline of the character? Uh, Generally, in a movie, or generally you will have the character, a digital version of the character, and then that's what you're gonna use for your effects. And most of the time that matches the motion of the character in the frame. So that's what you're gonna use, and that's why you some most of the time you're gonna just get that, and you might even require that if the character needs to be pretty precise, then you need to require that you have that character to interact with the smoke, or just make some parts of the character with basic shapes that you can use for affecting the smoke if it's not that big of a deal. But if it's a big deal, like maybe the character is burning and it's like that guy Torch, it's called that, say in the Fantastic Four, like it's him there standing with flames on his face and all this body. You need that model. You need the model, and it needs to be animated, and it needs to match perfectly the plate before he turns into full flame. Then it's digital, so they will have the character, and you need that to do the effect on top of that. All right. Hey, John. I'm glad to see you here, man. Really cool. Have you seen UFO new tool for 3D volume? I missed the stream today for Unreal, man. I've been so busy, and after I'm done here, I need to pack my stuff and get ready to go tomorrow really early to the airport. So I will see it when I have time. I'm really sorry I missed that, but there was so much stuff happening today. Like there was other stream from a developers conference from Sony, and then for PlayStation stuff, and then Unreal stuff, and then I was been arranging stuff for my trip tomorrow and all that stuff. So I didn't see it. Sorry. But I took the time to do this, so I said, well, I'm gonna do the webinar. So, all right. So, any other questions? Dennis. Now, capital B is not used in either the velocity in subs or DOPs. It's just lowercase versions. If you name it lowercase bell or B, it's not gonna work. It's something ringing? Nope. Sorry, I thought there's a phone was ringing. So yeah, it's very important that to know that capital B or capital bell, it's not the same thing as lowercase b, lowercase dollar bell. Uh, 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 uh. Thank you, John. I'm glad you like this thing that we all do together here. It's not just me. We all do it together. We ask questions and we hang out here. Oh, it's not something ringing. It's my dog. He's snoring. Cool. The compositor as well as the grader. You might not need to talk to the grader guy because he's just gonna treat everything as one plate. The guy that does the final grade, he doesn't care about passes most of the time. He just most of the time the compositor would just match, needs to match, or at least that's the idea that I have, or that's what I do. You need to match the plates, even if they are the raw plates. You just match the color to that. Uh, get the effects as invisible as possible, and then when they go to color correction or grading, they don't even know what's digital or what's footage. They just treat the same. They treat the plate of what I've seen is that they treat the plate as one final flat thing, and they just color it like that. They don't get in much into passes at all and all that stuff. Hey Guan, hey man, glad you're here as well. Do you have some keys mapped for Houdini on those buttons? Are you talking about this mouse here? Let me see if you guys can see that. It has a bunch of buttons on the side. This mouse actually was given to me by Epic. They sent me a bunch of stuff with t-shirts and stuff. You can see it says Unreal Engine there. It's hard to get this in the camera. Unreal Engine, cool. So I really appreciate. This is an amazing mouse. No, I have those buttons. I don't have mapped to anything. I just use it as a regular mouse. Actually, it's really complex to press those buttons. And also, what I use most of the time to control my computer is this guy. I just use my Wacom tablet for most of everything. I use the mouse for Unreal Engine and for gaming. That's all I use it for. Everything else is just done with this guy. My pen. All right. Any questions? Can you ask questions about Redshift for Houdini? Are there any limitations in Redshift? Redshift is amazing, man. I use it a lot for volumes, for particles, for everything. It's one of my main renders, and the limitations. It's I don't know. There's no limitation that I can think of right now. Maybe volumes don't have multi-scattering, but sometimes you don't need that. Depends on the job. So Redshift, it's amazing. It's good. Is Redshift good enough for particles? Redshift is amazing for particles. I render millions of particles in Redshift in like 30 seconds, like, and that's like 50 million particles. It's really amazing for particles, and it's getting better. I'm sorry, but all this week I'm gonna be really busy working on site at a studio. So if you send me something this weekend, I'm not even gonna see it. But go to the forums, man, and post it there, please. If you post it there, I will see it when I have time, and I can critique your work there. So here's the go to mixtrn.com/community. I don't know why my internet is so low, or why is that taking so long to load. But yeah, go to the community and post your portfolio there, man. It'll be amazing. How long have you been learning Houdini for? I started in 2004, so that's like 13 years. My name is everybody calls me Baromix. My name is Baro, just without the mix. And that's how everybody knows me as, and that's how I get credited in series and movies. It's Baromix. That so if you call me something else, I'm not gonna know. But it's Baro or Baromix. That's my name, dude. Josh Foster. Oh, I'm glad, man. I'm glad you've been learning a lot from me. That's cool because I don't consider myself knowing that much, but however much I know, I like to share it, and I'm really glad the people like you tell me that you guys are learning. Are Houdini particles considered geometry? Yeah, almost everything in Houdini is considered geometry. Even volumes could be treated as geometry, and because you need to put them into geometry nodes to render them at the end of the day. But almost everything is geometry in Houdini. you want you want you want guys to send a donation thingy? Well, if you want to, I, I'm kind of if you if you guys feel like sending me something, I will take it. But just use my email in PayPal. Uh, Baramix at gmail.com. If you want to send me anything, just send it there. That's my email for PayPal if you want to do that. So if you want, you don't feel. But if you want to help me, buy my training. That will help you, and they will help me as well. Uh, 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 uh. Can you please do a tutorial on blueprints in UE4 sometimes in the future? I'm doing something right now for UE4, so stay tuned. It's come UE4. A lot of UE4 training is gonna come your way. I'm doing that. It's part of what I want to focus mix training in. It's gonna be VFX and it's gonna be Unreal Engine and where they meet. Uh, all right, so I'm glad that you think like that, Grant. That I make it easy to for new users to understand. That's great. That's what I want to do. Everyone needs to understand stuff. So if not, I'm just wasting my time talking things that nobody's understanding, which is stupid. Uh, yeah, Epic has done a lot of blueprint tutorials, so you can go to their YouTube page and there's a bunch of training. Redshift, Octane, Arnold, GPU or CPU. I don't understand your question, but I don't use Octane. I reached to them, they ignored me. Uh, Redshift is amazing. I use it a lot. I use Arnold a lot. I'm partnering, partner. I don't know how to say that. I will admit that. So we're working with Arnold as well. We've been working with Redshift. They just released a bunch of tutorials, and I did two of them for them. And we are talking. I'm talking with Solid Angle about doing Arnold as well. And I really like the GPU stuff, but Arnold, it's using the CPU really cool as well. So use what you want, man. Use what works for you. But each particle has how many polygons? No, particles don't have polygons. There are just one point, and Houdini renders that as a point. Houdini renders points and lines directly. They're primitives for Houdini, and Houdini just say, all right, here's a point. I'm gonna draw a sphere here, and that's it. That's how Houdini deals with particles. Patreon page, please. Oh, are you guys really into that? Because I started the Patreon page, and I was like, I'm not really sure if people it's gonna be into this, and I haven't finished the page. Patreon has been sending me emails like, finish your stuff and ideas and stuff, and I have it there. It's not final. So if you guys are really into that Patreon thing, I could do it. Scores are awesome. Oh, thank you. Do you publish on Pluralsight? No, I don't publish. I haven't published on Pluralsight because they are kinda, or maybe I'm kinda the competition. I don't know. Could I call myself the competition for that huge company? No, I don't think so. But we're kind of trying to do the same thing. So I have been offered things to publish on other pages, but I'm trying to build my own thing because I think there is a market for people that needs to get training in different ways. Uh, Togur, hey man, what's up? Uh, by the way, you work as freelance or in a studio? I am a freelancer with my studio. So I work freelance most of the time. I'm trying to build a studio with a friend. We are still working on that. Uh, but yeah, I work freelance most of the time. So people send me jobs here, and or I go to studios and work for a while there, like I'm doing next week or tomorrow. I'm gonna be in a studio working for a week. All right, guys. So I think that's enough chat for today. There's a bunch of questions. Amazing. That's great. That's great. So all right, we learned how to approach, how to research. So again, just summarizing the things. Get ask as many questions as you need. Get the important details from the start. Ask people that you're gonna deliver the effect to what they need, what's their needs and all that stuff. Compositors, etc. Maybe lighting guys. Uh, so then research on your own. Try to find reference, a lot of reference. It's great to have a bunch of reference to you for you to start from. Then with that reference, start thinking how you will do that in Houdini. Start experimenting in Houdini. Start tweaking. Start sending tests early, because maybe there's some stuff that you can do really quickly, and maybe the supervisor will like. It will tell you like, oh, I like that thing. You know that little thing you did here? Oh, I like that. Do more of that, and then without working like for weeks before you send anything to the client or the supervisor, you're getting closer to the actual effect. I don't like to just wait forever to send revisions. I like to send revisions as soon as I can, because some clients just tell you, oh right, you know the thing you're doing here, that's pretty cool, keep doing that. Or they're gonna tell you, now that's totally the wrong thing, do it more like this. And then you didn't waste a week or more researching something that it's not gonna be done. So send test as soon as possible, and then work on it. Don't be afraid to be wrong. Like if they tell you that's the wrong thing, don't be afraid to say, oh man, I lost all that time, I thought that it was great, but if it's not the right thing for the job, it's not. Don't take it personal. It's like when the maybe the director wrote the movie, he wasn't thinking like, oh, Battlemix is gonna do this effect, I must make it look like what he does. He's not thinking like that. He's thinking, oh, I want this kind of effect, look like this, like that. So he has already an idea in his head. So we are just trying to capture the idea and make it live. So don't make it so personal. I used to take it personal a lot, and I was offended by comments like, oh no, that's not the right thing, or that's not gonna work, can you do it again, or that stuff. I used to get offended at the beginning, like, but it's not personal. It's not personal. It's not for you. It's for the project. Uh, do, 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 do. Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you for your nice words. I am a little bit excited, but I'm also a little bit nervous. I'm working in a place that I've never been, in a city where it's not my city, and all that stuff. It's really abrupt, and they're expecting for me to do a good job, of course. So that's a little bit I'm a little bit nervous and all the stuff, but it's gonna do well. It's gonna be Cool. Yeah, don't take it personal. Just think that somebody else has already a vision for what you're doing, and you're trying to capture that idea and make it live. And when you do that, that person's gonna be happy, man. You're trying to make a person happy. In how far she can lay her. How long to learn Houdini? BGS Mel, you love my stuff. Thank you, man. Thank you for the kind words. How long to learn Houdini? Well, depends a lot on the person. We all learn differently. But I guess you can do cool stuff if you focus really well in Houdini for maybe 6 months. You can do really cool stuff if you focus on one thing. If you want to do more stuff, like approach different things like volumes and particles and geometry and Vex and Python, then it's gonna take you more time because it's gonna be more things. But I'll say just start in one thing and focus on that and keep your focus on one thing, and maybe in 6 months you could be doing something really cool, even maybe even sooner if you're amazing. I don't know. All right, guys, thank you for being here. I gotta go. Gotta prepare my stuff. You should give like small assignments for us. Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, there you go. AA. If you want an assignment, do that effect that we just talked about. Do the bump effect. Do it. I don't care which method you use. If you want to use particles, if you want to use volumes, if you want to use something else, do the effect there. Do this effect. That's the assignment. If you guys want to go again to the community, we can discuss the assignments there. I will have time at nights, and I will look at the forums at night, and I will have discussions there. So yeah, if you want an assignment, try to do that and post your progress in the mixed training community. That would be amazing if you guys want to do that. I'm totally into that. Yeah, sure. Do it. Do it! Alright, guys. So that's it. Grand. Thank you. Take it easy, guys. I'll see you guys. I don't know if I'm gonna have time next week. If I do, I will see you next week. If not, maybe another week. If you want to buy that ink tutorial, go buy it, man. It's really cool. It's really cool. Alright, everyone. More Python tutorials are gonna be in the way for sure. Alright, I gotta go. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you for being here. Thank you for asking questions. I love questions. I love them, my precious questions. Alright, so that's gonna be for today, guys. Thank you again. Let's keep learning together. We're learning together. We are in this together. I learn a lot for you guys every week. So let's keep doing this. I'll see you guys maybe next week. If not, the other week. Alright? The week after that. Alright, thanks again. I really appreciate this. Bye-bye.